What's good, everybody? This is Kenny C here from Chilling with Jeff at Kenny C, and I'm bringing you an exclusive interview. My guest at this time is a recording artist. He's a rapper and a producer. Currently resides in Michigan. I am joined with Drew32. He's joining me right now. What's going on, Drew?
How's it going, man?
I'm chilling, man. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Talk a little bit about yourself and how did you get started in doing music?
Well, my name is Drew32. I've been rapping and producing for many years. I'm 20 years old right now, about to be 21 in December. I started the first song I did. I was 10 years old, so it's been quite a ride. So, but I got into it, I guess, just from being a fan at first, just listening to hip hop on the radio as a young kid and becoming interested in it. And I one day my dad had brought me to a recording studio, and I really just fell in love with the atmosphere of the studio and fell in love with the recording experience. And I ended up getting some like real cheap music software, and I started creating some stuff at home on my computer. And years later, it evolved into me today, and I'm still recording at my house and being in and out of studios, and it's been a wild ride, man. It's been really fun.
You know how artists have like meanings and exclamations behind their stage name. What made you name yourself Drew32?
The 32, well, the Drew part comes from my name. My name is Andrew. But the 32 comes from when I was young, and even up until through high school, I always played basketball. Basketball was like my first love, first passion, and I always was a fan of Magic Johnson, who was number 32. So when it came to doing hip hop, I don't know why 32 was always my basketball number, so I just kind of like kept it as my part of my rap name, and it kind of had a ring to it, and it just kind of stuck. Couldn't really get rid of it. It just kind of, I was just always Drew32.
Now that I think about it, it does have a nice ring to it. Plus, it rhymes. I mean, you're a rapper, and you know how rappers love to rhyme. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, that explains it all. Now, who do you consider as influences in your music career?
Well, I'm from Michigan, and a lot of Michigan hip hop has been an influence on me. When I was coming up, Eminem was totally huge, blowing up at the time when I was around 10, 11 years old, and he's, even still very, very extremely popular to this day. So Eminem is definitely a huge influence. Also, another Michigan artist, Royce the 5'9". I was listening to him a lot. He's definitely an influence on me. And then outside of Michigan, I'm definitely a fan of Kanye, Jay-Z, of course. I was listening to a lot of Tupac when I was coming up. So I have a lot of influences, really. I also, I'm influenced by producers as well, not just rappers. Dr. Dre, Timberland, and then even artists outside of the hip-hop genre. I like, my first CD I ever got when I was a kid was a Bob Marley album. So, I like all Bob Marley's music, and even some Sergio Mendes and other music from other cultures and stuff. So I have a kind of a wide range of influences.
It's interesting that you mentioned Royce the 5'9", who from your neck of the woods, and not only he's an influence of yours, but you actually did a song with him. I mean, what was it like collaborating with him?
Yeah, that was kind of like a dream come true type situation. Cause I've been a fan of him forever, even when he wasn't, popular. You know what I mean? Even when, cause he just now kind of came back with Slaughterhouse and got big doing the album with Eminem and stuff. So he just now kind of came back, but a lot of people don't know he's been doing this for years and just running the underground scene. And I was a fan from even back then when I first heard of him. So I've been a fan of Royce forever, and for me to be able to get in the studio with him on my song called Spaz Out, that was just an incredible feeling, incredible situation. I was doing a song for my mixtape, The Burn Project, and I did like my portion of the song. Like I made the beat and I wrote a verse to it and had a hook written and recorded. And I was just listening to it. Before I even wrote my second verse, I was just listening to it and I was like, man, this would be incredible. I hear Royce on this. Like I kind of just could picture it on him on it. So I reached out to my manager, who is well connected in Detroit hip hop and stuff. And my manager actually used to manage D12, so he knows all those guys and knows people affiliated with Shady Records and stuff. So he knew Royce's manager, so we were able to reach out to him and actually get in the studio, and he knocked it out, and he definitely killed it. So it was awesome being able to meet him, and especially him being one of my top influences. So that was awesome.
Regardless if he's a solo artist or one half of Bad Meets Evil or now 1/4 of Slaughterhouse, it's just good to see that he's finally getting the recognition that he deserves, considering he has been in the game for a very long time. I would definitely put him in the underrated category.
Definitely.
So, you got any new music in the works? I know you released a mixtape earlier this year, but do you have anything else in the works, like music videos or new music that you got coming up?
Definitely. I have a music video coming out very soon. There's no real release date on it yet, but a video is coming soon for my song called I Am King, featuring John Connor, and that video is going to be real sweet. It's in the final stages of the editing process, so I'm going to be releasing that fairly soon. Other than that, I lent my hand in production towards some of my best friends in music. My boy B Smooth, I helped co-produce his album that just came out, the Soundcheck EP, and then I also helped out my boy Asante. He has a mixtape coming out soon. I think his is coming out end of October. So I kind of lent my production side onto those projects. And in terms of my own projects, I have a project coming out by the end of the year with a producer named Moonchild. He's doing all the beats, and I'm doing all the raps. And that one, we don't even have a title for it yet, but I'm working on it. It's definitely going pretty well, and it should be pretty sweet. So definitely a lot of material coming from me before the end of the year. Definitely.
And are you going to be having any upcoming performances?
Yeah, I have a couple shows lined up. I don't have a booking agent yet, so I don't really have like a tour or anything. But I do have some spot shows lined up. I'm actually on October 6th. I'm doing a show here in Detroit at St. Andrews. And I might have a couple other shows at the end of the month. I don't even want to speak on it yet because I don't even want to speak on it yet because it's kind of like a big thing, and I don't want to. It's not totally locked in yet, but I'm just gonna say I might have a couple shows overseas. I'm not gonna say where or anything yet because I don't want it to not fall through and then have me looking like an idiot on this interview. But I might have some shows overseas coming up, so. Definitely some shows coming up, but I don't have a booking agent, like I said, so it's not any like tour or anything. Still working on that, but right now I'm kind of just focusing on recording and doing a couple of these shows here coming up.
Completely understand, man. You just make sure you get that confirmation, man. I understand.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, who are some artists that you haven't had a chance to work with, whether it's like indie artists or big name artists that you would like to collaborate with someday?
Man, there's a huge list. I'm just a fan of a lot of people in general, so I'm open to a lot of different, collaborations. I really haven't, to this point in my career, I really haven't collaborated with a lot of people other than people that like locally. So I definitely would like to, expand that and collaborate with a bunch of different artists. In terms of like known people who I'd love to collaborate with, I've always been the hugest fan of Akon, so to get Akon on a song, that would be dope. I don't know. I mean, Andre 3000, of course, would be dope. Busta Rhymes. I don't know. I mean Eminem, of course, but I mean he's so huge. Like these artists I'm naming are like legends to me. So I mean it would be pretty much impossible at this point for me to get them, but hopefully in the future. Hopefully in the future.
You know what they say in life, man. Anything can happen. You got voice. I mean, if you
Yeah, no,
so.
I'm a believer. It'll happen.
All right, so let me ask you this: what do you like the most of being a music artist? Is it like writing the songs, putting the beat down, performing? What do you like the most in doing music?
Um, it really changes. I used to be one of the people that just loved being in the studio. Love being in the studio, even more than performing live. And I don't know, recently I've kind of started leaning towards the live show because as I've done bigger shows and stuff, just being able to walk out on stage and seeing a big crowd, it's so sweet. So I don't know, now if I had to answer it today, I'll say performing live is probably one of my favorite parts of being a musician, just because the energy you get, even if it's for a short amount of time, even if it's just for like 20, 25 minutes set or something, that energy you get from the crowd and seeing the crowd's reaction is priceless. So that's definitely probably my favorite part right now.
And why don't you go ahead and promote your links, how people can get in touch with you, how people can listen to your songs.
Definitely. The best way to get in touch with me is through my website. It's www.drew32.com. That's drew32.com. And from there, you can get to my Twitter, my Facebook, my email, everything from there. My YouTube as well is all through drew32.com. In terms of other things I want to promote, if you haven't already, definitely go grab my latest project. It's called Label Me. It's a mixtape. It's hosted by DJ Ski, who's hosted like game mixtapes, and he's popular out in LA. He's on Kiss FM and Sirius Hip Hop Nation. So definitely grab that Label Me mixtape. You can grab that on Dat Piff or from our website as well. So that's pretty much it.
DJ Ski, without a doubt, one of the most well-known DJs in this country, and you pointed out I think he's been on every single game mixtape up to this point.
Yeah, he's definitely made a big name for himself. Shout out to DJ Ski.
What was it like to have him host your mixtape?
That was awesome. How that happened was we were promoting one of my singles, through this like radio promoter guy that we were using, and one of the people that ended up playing the song that he got to play the song was DJ Ski. So when I heard that DJ Ski had played my song on the radio, I was like so amazed. I was like, dang, DJ Ski played my song. I was so hyped about it. So when I finished my mixtape, we were looking for somebody to host it or be involved in it. Knowing that he had played my song on the radio, we reached out to him and ended up going out to LA, meeting with him at the ski lodge and everything. And he's a real cool dude, real down to earth, and we were able to get it done. And he was real sweet, and I think it came out real dope. So shout out to DJ Ski.
Not just a recording artist, but a fan of hip hop. What is your thoughts on hip hop and where it's at right now?
I think hip hop is definitely in a good place. I think that there was maybe a little era a few years back where lyricism wasn't really a big thing, but I think it's definitely came back in full force in recent years. So I think that lyrics are definitely coming back, and I think that the sound, even the sound quality of music in hip hop is just like better now. I feel like before it was people that didn't even care about like production quality and stuff. Like now everything is just like, it seems like everything is like top of the line good music, and I'm proud and happy to be a part of hip hop right now. I think it's in a good place. The only thing that I would say is it's not the easiest industry to get into. I mean, I'm still even having struggles as an independent artist to really break and hit it mainstream and find really big success, because there's so many people doing it, and you got to have such a big buzz to even get recognized by a label or anything like that. But in terms of the quality of the music and the content, I think it's definitely in a good spot right now.
Obviously, a lot has changed, and not just in hip hop, but in music in general. I mean, back then, all it took was to turn in a demo. Nowadays, social media wise, I guess it takes a huge following or YouTube views to get yourself out there. I mean, what's your take on how things have changed in the music industry in general?
I mean, in terms of that, I don't really think it's fair, because it's not a fair judgment. You can't judge talent by numbers. You know what I mean? You can't judge talent by how many views something gets. That's not a fair assessment. Because you can have not a lot of talent and have plenty of views, you know what I mean, just based on something being stupid enough to go viral, you know what I mean? So it to me, it's not a fair assessment of talent, so I don't really think that's not really cool. But I still have hope, and I think that, you know, from a record label's perspective, I understand that, you know, they haven't really been making money recently because of, you know, people stealing music and, you know, CD sales not really being as high as they used to be. So they got to make their money. So they're not going to take chances as much on artists. They're not going to take risks on an artist who hasn't proven to be successful already on their own. So they're only really going to look at artists who have already built up the following on their own. And the problem with that is you already got to have so much money to really even break on your own. I mean, unless you get totally lucky on the internet. Like, you got to have money to push a single. You got to have money to make a video. You got to have money to, you know, everything costs money to make it independently. So it's definitely an expensive route to take. So I think it's a lot harder now. But if you love it, you got to do it. So I love it, so I'm doing it.
I'm definitely starting to miss the demo days when artists have to work twice as hard, you know, going from local stations to trying to at least get the demo into a record label. I mean, it seems like anybody that has a huge following can just get a record deal in a matter of moments. Even people that we all know that's not all that, you know, not worth the hype, not worth the money or whatever. I mean, it's a huge investment for the record labels, and I don't know, maybe the artists that they already have in the label are not buzzing, so they just need to find someone in the middle of the street somewhere. I don't know, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at. I mean, people need to get back to what it once was, to a certain point, you know, just be on the grind, you know, and eventually things will work out. I think record labels and executives, I don't know, they just want to find anybody, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. So, what would your advice be to anyone that wants to be a recording artist, that wants to be a musician? What would your advice be?
I would just say, do it because you love it. Don't do it just because you're trying. Like, make sure you get into it for the right reasons. Like, I got into it just because I loved doing it, and I knew that this is something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, or at least for a large majority of my life. And it was just like, it was my absolute passion, so it's like I had to do it. It was something I had to do. I just feel like, in general, not even about music, to really be successful, you're not going to be successful doing something you don't love. So make sure you love it. Make sure you're in it for the right reasons, because if you're not, you're never going to be happy. In terms of advice, just work hard. That's like, just work hard as hell. Make sure you're the hardest worker that you know. Make sure none of your friends work harder at their job than you work at your job. So that's really my piece of advice. And I'm still working. I got to record some songs today. So just work hard.
And my last question, obviously, one of the reasons for this interview is because you are, I believe, featured on Miss Ooh La La, courtesy of Ashley Salazar. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was, shout out to Miss Ooh La La, shout out to Ashley. Last year I was performing down in Missouri, and while I was down there, I ran into Ashley, who was really involved down in that festival, and ran into her, ended up exchanging information. I didn't even really think much of it at the time, but as I became acquainted with her online and, tweeted her and stuff like that, I became aware of the website, became aware of everything that she's doing, and it's definitely a good look, and I really appreciate being featured on there, because it seems like she's definitely on her grind and making big moves. So I'm really appreciative of Ashley, and she's awesome.
Got us, y'all Midwest folks. Y'all gotta stick together. So
definitely Midwest.
So I'm technically from the South, but I'm obviously Kentucky. I don't know how we consider ourselves anymore. Sometimes I think it's Midwest. Sometimes I think it's South. So I don't know what to think of it anymore. But that's besides the point in this particular interview. Everybody, check this cat out, Drew32, Drew32.com, as in the number 32, not the words. And be on the lookout for the new music, and all his social network links are there on his website, and you can download the 3 mixtapes he's done up to this point. Download them all for free. And congratulations on being featured on Miss Ooh La La, and thank you for your time for doing this interview. I'd like to also shout out to Ashley Salazar as well, probably the most hard-working female I ever know in my life. But thank you, Drew. You got any final words and shout-outs?
I just want to say thank you very much to you, Kenny, and thank you again to Ashley. And definitely, like you said, check out my website for new music, and I appreciate everybody listening to this interview right now. Thank you very much.
And I'll definitely will be playing your music on the show, and I'll definitely add some music onto the music station as well.
Okay, cool.
And this will conclude the interview. Thank you, everyone, for listening.